hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your host, Shaniqua Inspires, and I am excited to have another sister friend here with me today that I definitely want to make certain that I introduce to you all. She's a fellow nurse like myself, so I had to bring her on so that we can continue this conversation that we actually got started at a Nurse Boss conference. So, without further ado, I need you all to meet my new sister friend, Nadine. Hey, girl. Hey. It is so good to have you here. It is so good to be able to sit into fellowship with you another chance. So please, I know we were just starting to get to know one another at the Nurse Boss Summit, but please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Nadine Palacio, and as you know, background is I am trained as a registered nurse. Um, I also identify as a second generation Filipina American, and as the CEO and founder of the Thriving 20 Somethings, I am 28. So I am basically here to just serve as a catalyst in this space and help kind of get your shift together, because that's what I'm here to do, is to assist change agent of color working in healthcare get their shift together.
Nice, nice. Now, so what area of healthcare are you in? So, where are you practicing at currently?
I work in the recovery room.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So let's get into this conversation because I think it's a must. And so you have this organization, this business called the Thriving 20 something. Explain to us exactly what is going on in this business. And I know you mentioned that it's the Asian American nurses that you're helping, but share with us a little bit more and why on earth the name 20 something? So tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about that.
I will try my best to make this short and sweet. But I do want to start off by sharing a story. So
Yes.
this kind of will help set the stage. So imagine it's 4 a.m., my alarm goes off. And so then I grab my coffee, I jump into the car, I drive an hour to work, I park, I walk 2 blocks from the hospital, or from my parking spot to the hospital. I clock in, I get report on my patients, and I work my 12-hour shift. I drive home, I eat, sleep, and repeat. And this was my daily routine. Here I
Love.
was doing what I was trained to do, what I went to school for, and yet I would count down to the hours, down to the very seconds until I could clock out, because this was such a monotonous way of living. And somewhere along the way, I just kept having this nagging thought, this awareness that I could be doing more with my time, that my time was worth more, and that regardless of the amount of time that I put in, there was no amount of money that I could be paid to spend my time doing the same thing
Mhm.
routinely. And I did that for 4 years.
Okay.
And so I'll never forget April 9th, 2021. Tears were streaming down my face as I was sitting in my car, parked by the mall, hoping some retail therapy would be a good pick me up. And I saw the sunset, and I was just broke down crying, and I just felt myself questioning, what was I doing? Is this really what I wanted to be doing? And I just remember feeling upset and frustrated with myself because I just felt unfulfilled. Maybe you have ever felt this way, or any of the audience members have felt this way. And so, as a child of immigrants and as an Asian American, the eldest daughter, as a woman of color, I was raised to be grateful for what I have. And here I was working as a nurse, stable
Mhm.
nursing job, decent paycheck, supportive coworkers, but I was left on empty and unfulfilled. Whew, that was a lot.
Yeah.
So this daily grind was, I realized unsustainable for me, and I couldn't envision a forever like this. And surely I couldn't be the only one who's ever felt this way. And within the Asian American culture, specifically within the Filipino culture, there is this expectation to follow the path of being a nurse. And so I felt this shame and fear of wanting to verge off of this. I didn't feel the need to go back to school to follow the expectations that society had or whatever path that has been set for me. So in that moment, I made a decision that I am more than this, and then I'm going to do more with the time that I have. So I vowed to myself that I would live my life on my own terms, because I knew then and I know now that I deserve more, and that my family and my ancestors deserve more. So I decide and I realize that I deserve to be my authentic self and live my best life. So
Absolutely.
I leveraged my talents to where I was. I leveraged my skills, and I learned how to run a business. And so I put myself in spaces like the Nurse Boss Summit, where I met you, and I invested in myself in being able to hire coaches, surrounded myself with this like-minded energy, just like being open and soaking up all the knowledge like a sponge, and dedicated hours and hours learning from the experts of personal development. And I stepped into this possibility that I could be a nurse and still use my skills to serve beyond the bedside and still be present and have time for myself and my loved ones.
Wow, I love that. That was so powerful. It was so moving, so stirring. Like we literally could feel your energy, and you literally took us back to that moment. And I think all of us must listen. If nobody else can relate, I too can relate. Those 12-hour shifts, that day in, day out kind of monotonous activity, and it really can snuff out your light if you let it. So kudos to you, being at the age that you are, having that profound revelation and making a shift. Where it is, we often see that happening later in life, but I think it doesn't wait till later in life. It can happen at any time if we just keep in that rhythmic motion. So I'm grateful that you had that breakdown. You know, we don't thank our breakdowns enough, but if you did not have that pivotal moment with the tears running from your eyes, there would have been a whole population of people that would have missed out on that spark that lit up once you got to the center of where your purpose is. So listen, I say thank you for your tears, because that is the moment that's going to help others just like you. So you can't you put on there that you wanted to talk to us about strengthening our risk taking muscles. Tell us a little bit about that. What do you know about this risk taking muscle, and why on earth do we need to strengthen it?
Ooh, well, I like to call myself a risk taker junkie. Oh my gosh. And I feel like everyone needs to take risks, because that's what life is all about. Life is all about change. There's no constant. The only constant is change. And
Yeah,
so by being able to embody risk taking and being able to strengthen it like a muscle, then you're just that more aligned towards what God has prepared for you.
I love that. I
And
love that.
so there's a 3-step process that I love to invite you and other people about risk taking. And step 1 is really being able to acknowledge the fact that we all need to take risks. Why? Because they can bring you to unexpected places. I mean, just hearing from my story, had I not had that breakdown, had I not taken the risk and investing in myself, I wouldn't be where I am today, being able to have this kind of open and honest conversation with you, you know?
So this strengthening, this risk-taking muscle, you're strengthening this muscle. We have to, one, invest in ourselves. I think that is a key thing, but identifying the fact that we do need to strengthen it, because taking these risks can get us to places that we couldn't even dream of, places that we never even thought, never even imagined. So I can attest to the importance of taking these risks. Now, what would you say to someone, and this is a question that I like to ask a lot on here. Now, we are all not 20 something. Okay. Or maybe we are
Mm-hmm,
all 20 something. Some of us just on the latter part of that something, right?
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
you say to someone who was a bit older and they say, well, that risk taking stuff is for younger people, what would you say to them?
I would say everyone has the ability to take risks. And it just gets down to being able to start simple. And one thing that I love, and that's I'm grateful that this is being more of a conversation, is being able to take care of yourselves. And self care is simply simple, the most simplest way that we can strengthen our risk taking muscle, because it's stuff that hopefully we're already doing. And if not, then we're already in some sort of way doing it, if that makes sense. And so that's by being able to focus more on things like self care. So it could be just being able to treat yourself to a good meal, being
Mhm.
able to take yourself on a walk outside in the sunshine, wash your face,
Yeah.
taking a warm bath, a nice shower, just simple things that we're already doing, and being
Yeah.
able to just embrace those effects and just love on ourselves.
Mhm.
That is the simplest way, and that's how we can strengthen it, is by being able to take care of ourselves and create healthy habits, because
Yeah.
what you do daily is a result that can take you farther than um, that can be more ingrained, I guess you can say.
Yes. Absolutely. Now, and you mentioned about and I got what you said. You said about the self-care, really enhancing the things that you do normally. So you mentioned the everyday things like taking a bath and washing your face. Now, most people would say, well, my gosh, Nadine, I do that every single day. But we do it every day, but we do it almost like repetitiously. We do it like almost like a robot, like this day in, day out thing. Get
Mm-hmm.
up, wash the face, get up, jump in the shower. We do it without thinking about it. But when you enhance your mindset, when you are mindful about the time that you're spending with yourself, like, your shower is not the time when you're going to be answering emails and text messaging people. You make that your time. So whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or maybe even 5 minutes, maybe you've only got 5 minutes of the day, it's still yours. The washing your
Mm-hmm.
face, it's your
Mm-hmm.
time to love on your skin. It's your, and I actually, when I'm putting moisturizer on my face, I'm mindful and I'm rubbing on my skin and I'm loving on my set. Like, it's deeper than just me getting up,
Mm-hmm.
washing my face, and going on about my day. So I loved how you say you start simple with the things that you're already doing, and now you just enhance your mindfulness about doing it. And now it's a non-negotiable. Don't don't
Yes.
don't I'm about to get in the shower. Like give
Yeah.
me 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I will reply to the email in give me 10 minutes. Right? It's a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you do now get stronger, because where it was before, you probably wouldn't have said
Mm-hmm.
that. You'd have been getting
Mm-hmm.
your phone,
Mm-hmm.
trying to answer emails, answer calls, and all of that. So I love breaking it down back to the simple things that we know how to do already. Now,
Mm-hmm.
else would you, what other words of encouragement would you give to someone who is like, well, maybe I do need to strengthen my risk taking muscles? What other words of encouragement could you offer them?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm just processing everything that you just said. You just worded that so beautifully. And you
Love it.
really got to the nooks and crannies of it. So I'm so grateful. Um, yeah, so I think, yeah, just being able to, again, realize that it is starting off simple and bringing in this like mindfulness aspect to it, because the more you're mindful and like it brings you back to the present,
Yeah.
um, when you're more mindful rather than treating it as like a necessity, or I mean it is a non-negotiable, but
Mhm.
rather than just la-di-di-dawing around your day, you know. um, and so I guess the perspective from that is like being able to sit with yourself and get clear on what is it that you desire, like how are these habits able to up level your self-care routine. For me, for
Okay.
example, like being able to like it starts off with washing my face, but then being able to like add more aspects such as like moisturizer,
Baby.
sunscreen,
Yes.
that can help. Like what do you desire? When I close my eyes, I envision Nadine as a very hydrated, well moisturized, glowing boss.
Yes.
And it's up to you, to your definition on what you see yourself and
Yeah.
how you can tie that into your self-care aspects to create those healthy habits, because that will is what will help fuel you.
Yes. I love
Yeah.
that. So here's a
And
question for
so
you.
mhm.
Here's a question for you. What is the biggest risk that you're taking right now? Right? Because you gotta practice what you preach. You gotta be able to back it up, right? You can't sit here and tell people, oh, you gotta strengthen your risk-taking muscles, and then you're staying safe on the sidelines. So what would you say is one of the biggest risks that you're jumping into in this season of your life?
Well, that's exactly what's happening right now. um, so right now, this is all a whirlwind within the last like 2 weeks. Um, I have applied to two jobs. One, as you know, as you may or may not know, I work as a travel nurse. And so one risk that I took is taking up a local contract and then applying for a travel contract that's out of state.
Okay.
And to put it into nicely, I guess, is I applied to both, and I'm still waiting to hear back from the other one. And
Okay.
so the local contract is what is safe right now, but I
Mhm.
still went ahead and applied to the travel contract. And that requires a lot more risk because it is an out of state move. It, but it is everything that I would love it to be. And just kind of flowing, being able to balance flow and expectations of myself and pressure, and just releasing old stories is what all of this
Mm.
boils down to.
I like that, releasing old stories. So that old narrative that you told yourself. And that, you know what, you did exactly what I would have done, because I call it a safety net, right? Like I will take
Mhm.
a risk, right? I'm a big leap of faith. That's what I like to call it. But I do like to have a safety net. So the safety net says, okay, well, apply for the local job. But then the risk taker, that leap of faith says, go bigger, go bolder, go wilder, and live
Yeah.
out your best life. So you still did it, and I like that you were able to do it in the safety within your own terms. So when we say to people, take the risk, we want you to take the risk, but do the risk within your means, right? Because somebody else might say, no, go big or go home. That's it. Right. That's the only two options. Someone else may need to baby step, or as I like to say, have a safety net present.
Listen to Cicely Sunday's podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. New episodes start in December.
It is still important to exercise that muscle. Even if you're being a risk taker on what you're going to eat for dinner, try something new. Right? Try something new. Try a different restaurant. Get out, or even if it's the same restaurant, try a different dish. And that will help you to strengthen that muscles. And one of the things that I think, Nadine, that when you do strengthen that risk-taking muscle, it opens your eyes more for opportunities. So now you're able to see more opportunities available to you when you have a strengthened, a more powerful risk-taking muscle. What benefits have you seen in your own life, of course, or maybe in some of the lives of some of the people that you've worked with? What benefits have you seen from people making the effort and strengthening those risk-taking muscles?
I'll speak to my personal experience, and then I can speak to some of my clients' experience. But being able, again, to start off small and to really take those steps and being open to taking risks. There's, I guess a big thing that I can say is that I traveled to Egypt earlier this April into being able to stretch that risk-taking muscle. And that's what's really good about being able to take risks, is that once you're able to take even just the baby step, even if it's just a safety net, like celebrate yourself and like keep up that momentum, because by being able to give yourself credit, you're able to just celebrate where you're at and then just be open to what is to come. And being able to just take one action a day can really change your projection. Like, I think one analogy that comes to mind is seeing like tractors. So tractors, like if you go in one direction, you'll see the tire tracks go straight. And then even just the slightest turn of the wheel, like then the tracks go in a different direction. But I mean, it's still in a similar direction. It's the same, but it's just like detour, just the slightest change. And that's how I see risk taking, is by being able to control, like not necessarily control, but to give a different perspective in that sense.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, because it is like you're taking baby steps to get there. Like, so you don't have to go, like you just ease your way over. I like that. Now, I have a question for you. What advice would you say to a mother, right? A mother who's raising a 20-something-year-old, and she didn't take risk. She played it safe. And I remember when you did your introduction, you talked about your tradition. So traditionally speaking, everybody wants to be a nurse. Nursing is like this highly coveted position. So everybody wants to be a nurse. So say mom is a nurse and she's now raising daughters. Traditionally, she would tell her daughters to stay the course. But what words of encouragement would you say to the mom to kind of convince her to move away from tradition to help to support her 20-something son, daughter, whomever, and following their heart?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that parent, if you could?
So speaking to the parent raising a 20 something
Yes.
about taking risks.
Yes. How could they let go,
Oh.
because they're so accustomed to following tradition. That's what they
Mm-hmm,
know.
mm-hmm,
What
mm-hmm.
words share with them to let them know that it's okay for this one to go a different path? Like, what words would you be able to share? And if it helps, think about having to talk to one of your elders, whether it's your mom, your dad, your auntie, letting them know that it's okay for you to take this different route.
Yes. It all comes from a place of love and taking risks. It If this is the direction that truly makes you happy, go for it. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing that I even asked my parents this. I was like, what's your greatest wish for us, me and my siblings? And really, and I feel like it may resonate with many people, is just for us to be happy.
Mhm.
And whatever that may look like, whatever path you may have to take, as long as you're happy, um, doing what you're doing, and so be it. Um, because I think what I am also putting into practice is just this unlearning of scarcity and fear, and how that can be tied to culture. Again, like how I was saying about societal expectations, like there was a lot of fear and just limitations that come up
Yes.
when trying to even attempt to dream bigger, to reimagine what I would want different for myself. And being able to shift the mindset of being able to make decisions and act on decisions out of abundance, out of love, out of unlimitations. And
Yes.
so that is something that I've been trying to practice. And this is where risk taking is tied into that,
Mhm.
because we're caught up in this daily like grind and hustle culture
Mhm.
that we we need to just take a step back and again be mindful
Mhm.
and see how first we can take care of ourselves, because the more that you're outputting to others, your cup is depleting, and no one wants to, you can't help from a depleted cup. I mean, um, so being able to love on ourselves first and be able to overflow that cup, so that way we can continue going about our days in this beautiful life that we have, um, making the most out of each day. So,
I love that. And letting go. And what I gathered from that is letting go is love, right? Sometimes we have to
mm-hmm,
let go of the traditions in order to find what truly makes us happy. And that is a sign of love. It's a sign of
mm-hmm,
self-love. It's a sign of, of you expressing that you love someone else. And although I'm not 20 something, I'm not that far from it, but I'm not 20
mm-hmm,
something. I too have had to take some really, really big risk in my life. When the most important one, or the recent one, was when I left my six-figure job. So you know as a nurse how we can
mm-hmm,
stack that paper real easy. And
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
left a six-figure job to pursue what truly makes me happy. And,
mm-hmm,
anybody listening, anybody watching, me tell that story, they would be like, I would never, that was silliness. I know even my own mother probably looked at me like, what on earth is this woman doing? Right? Here I am, full fledged,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
raising children, household, all of the above. And you're taking a risk? Like this is a
mm-hmm.
risk. Thank you. right? This is
Mm-hmm.
risk. But my encouragement to those who are watching, yes, we understand risk taking. Maybe we've been there, done that when we were younger, but we needed Nadine to stop by to remind us about risk taking, because I think sometimes even when you get older, as you get seasoned, you settle,
Mm-hmm.
right? As you get seasoned,
Mm-hmm.
you start settling and you forget about that risk taking muscle. So we needed you to stop by today with that
Mm-hmm.
youthfulness to remind all of us. So it doesn't matter if you're 20 something, 30 something, 40 something, 50 something, or even 60 something. It's a reminder to say, don't let that muscle atrophy, right? That's how it's supposed to
Exactly.
talk. We would say
Yes.
that muscle will atrophy. So if you don't use it, you are going to lose it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we want to make certain that we all are taking some of these basic principles that Nadine is talking about, and we're able to now apply it into our own lives. So before I let you go, Nadine, do you have any last words of encouragement that you would like to seal the deal as we're talking about strengthening that muscle? What else would you like to share with us that's just going to encourage us to get it started?
It all starts with one action. That what can you do within 24 hours to
Mm,
move you in the direction of the better version of yourself?
yeah, I like
Mhm.
I like that. Now you have a program. What is it? The pivoting plan. Is that what
Mhm.
it's called? Tell us a little bit about that, because we actually got a free gift for everybody. Yes, yes, yes. We
Yeah.
got free gifts. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So I offer pivot to play sessions. I open up um, each week sessions, and it's completely free to those who are listening, where we get clear on where you are. We vision what you would love your life to look like and figure out what the next important step is for you to move in that direction. This is completely free. It's a 90-minute session.
Nice.
And this is really a space for just for you. Like, I'm just here to serve and to assist. And if you resonate with any of the messages that I've shared, I invite you to join in.
I love that. I love that. Now, do you have to be a nurse in order to take part in this?
No, you don't. You don't even have to be a 20 something. Again, the messaging of the thriving 20 somethings, and I want to clarify, is just like, as I'm moving through life and learning this, I realized after my experience and having worked in the hospital for over 6 years and having just these vulnerable conversations with people of various ages, various walks of life, these are the lessons that I've learned from them and they've imparted to me. And the sooner that even 20 somethings, rising 20 somethings can learn this now and
Yes.
not have to wait till, let's say, like an accident or like a diagnosis for you to like shift
Yes.
how you see life, the sooner that the world can reap the benefits in our communities, like being able to shine and step up in our life. So that's really the mission and vision with the thriving 20 somethings.
I love it. I love it. And I think, you hit the nail on the head where you said, if we could get the younger generation to get it now, right? Rather than waiting until that life altering moment. But if you can get it now, then we literally raise a generation that will raise a generation that will raise a generation. And so we've corrected, and I won't call it a problem, but we've shifted. And I like that word pivoting, where you just kind of shifted a bit. And you made that comment about the tractor, and that's right. So it's not like we're rearing the tractor all the way different, but we're just taking a small pivot. We're going in a different direction, similar to tradition, but we're just doing it in a different route. So I love that. I love the concept of the thriving 20 something. I love what it is that you're doing. I love your spirit. When we connected at the Nurse Boss Summit, you just had such a great personality, and I enjoy. We sat next to each other in a couple of sessions, and we just really, really connected. And I said, I have to have you on as a guest on the Black Girl Encourage Her, because there is something inside of you. And I think more of the world needs to be introduced to Nadine. So it was my pleasure having you on as a guest today. Any lasting word, any parting words you want to share with the people before we sign off?
Thank you again for this opportunity. Again, I'm so grateful to have come. Our paths had crossed. Like, again, I feel like this is just divine timing of all things for us to connect and to meet at the Nurse Boss Summit and to really just develop this connection from there.
Yes. I love it. I love it. All right, Nadine, hang out for just a second. Let me get the people their marching orders. I thought that that was such a powerful conversation, and I'm so grateful that we had Nadine come on, because it is about bridging the gap with the generations. We want to make certain that we are bridging the gap. We know that as seasoned individuals, we can learn something from the younger generation. They're doing something different than maybe we have done before. So it's time for us to start watching and learning from one another, so that we can all go to that place where, we're able to take those risks. So I hope you all enjoyed this week's segment, and I want you all to make certain that you come back, because we'll have another amazing episode of the Black Girl Encourage Her. You all have a great week, and until next time, God bless.